Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I'm Camille. I'm in my 20s. I live here in Las Vegas. I went to college in San Diego at San Diego State, but I'm originally from Maui, and I am so excited because now that it's the month of September, we're entering fall. It's also back to school season, and a lot of my ideas for social media come from my experience in college, moving away from home, kind of all those necessary topics that I think a lot of people want to know about and talk about but don't get talked about enough. And I am just really excited because today I'm going to talk you guys through some of the tips I have if you're new to college. This is mainly pertaining to people who are entering college, but this can also be for people who are returning to college. I still think it's really necessary tips that I have that really allowed me to be successful at San Diego State. I was in San Diego State from 2018 to 2022. I majored in marketing and minored in communications. Since I'm an out-of-state student, I paid out-of-state tuition. I lived on campus for 2 years. COVID hit me midway, like literally dead center midway through my college experience, but I was in person and online during my time there. I loved college. I thought it was such an amazing time. It really allowed me to become even more independent than I already was. And I think I really found my voice since I moved away from home. And I feel that I really just navigated it as best as I could. And I really, really loved it. And I think college and getting a higher education is such a beautiful opportunity that not many people get to have. And I think the one thing that you can do is embrace it and enjoy it and live it to the fullest. And so I'm here today to kind of share my tips that you can execute in your college experience. To preface as well, I went to San Diego State not knowing anybody. I met my college roommates on the platform that our university had to meet roommates. Luckily, they were both from out of state. We were together as roommates for all 4 years of college. They were amazing people, and I also met a lot of people from in-state. Because it's a state school in California, a lot of in-state students were able to get easy admission, and I think San Diego State got really, really competitive after my year, so I don't really have a lot of tips on that. I got in with like a pretty average GPA. I had a 3.8, but this is not about admissions, sorry. But just to preface, that's kind of what the setting was for me. So I wrote down 6 tips. I might be able to think of more, but 6 tips that I wrote down here. So the first one is get to know all the resources you're paying for. When you go to college, you see that tuition number, right? It's expensive. You are there because you got in, you're going to get a higher education. That diploma is what you're paying for, but you're also paying for all of the resources throughout your time at university. So when you think about resources, yes, that might be like healthcare on campus, that might be tutoring or mentorship, career counseling, all of those things. Even out-of-state students get a lot of resources at different universities. You have to look at that as well, because there are some things like for San Diego State, we had an out-of-state resource center. We had organizations pertaining to being out of state. So those things are available and readily accessible to you. You're already paying for it. I used to go to the math tutoring center genuinely every single week. It was free. I also went to the library to get my essays looked at. I had people help me with research. There's so many opportunities for you to get help on campus for free because you're already paying for it. So please, please look into what you're paying for, because that is why you're there, and that is why that is the price tag of your education. Number 2, this is kind of harsh, but humble yourself, because when I was going to school for the first time, I was like, wow, this is just really new. What the heck do I do? I just feel so new and out of place. Everyone is new and out of place. Even my friends, my best friends that were from California still felt out of place, even though that was where they were from. So you're not alone on this. And I think the beautiful thing about it is it's so new. You get to experience it for the first time, and that's the point. So yeah, it might be uncomfortable to be by yourself in class, or to walk to class by yourself, or do all of those little things, even eating by yourself. Okay, wait, this is something nobody talks about. When you're eating on campus, you're not like, a lot of people eat alone, and it's just so normal. So everyone's doing it for the first time. Everyone's going to classes for the first time. Everyone's trying to get involved for the first time. You're not alone on this. So try not to think that you're the only person who's like alone, because I think that's what a lot of Hawaii kids get into. You leave and then you realize, oh, it's not, I don't know anybody. I don't know who to talk to. There's so many things that you can do to kind of establish yourself. And yes, that's the hardest part, is to just start. But everyone's doing it for the first time. And that's really all I want to share, because I think once you realize you're not alone in that, I really think it's comforting, and it can really motivate you to go out there and try things. Ask your roommates, ask people you live by if they want to try something with you. If you're at like a junior college or your online school, same concept. Hey, message somebody separately, find them on social media. Before I moved to San Diego, social media was super helpful because people would put it in their bios or stuff like that. So don't be afraid to just DM somebody, reach out to organizations, or even people who are older than you. That was really helpful too, because once I was in an organization and I had people that were older than me, a lot of people are super helpful and want to get you to where you want to be. Number 3, this is probably one of my favorites because it's the same vein as using the resources you have. Go to your professor's office hours. It's kind of cringy. It gives teacher pet vibes, but when you're in a state school or in any class over 100 people, they do not know you. They don't know your face. They don't know your name. Go to your professor's office hours, and what a lot of people would tell me is, hey, after the first day of classes, go up to your professor in the front and introduce yourself. For me at San Diego State, the classes were so large, and sometimes I had a class back to back that I couldn't do that. So go to your professor's office hours. They have it weekly. They're required to have it weekly for you, or sometimes bi-weekly. I don't really know what the requirement is, but they are required to have office hours. When you go to these professor office hours, they have the door open for you. Many of them just have like a line outside of their door, and you can just wait and introduce yourself, ask them for help. I genuinely got participation and attendance scores just because I made myself known to my professor in his office hours. I didn't participate probably even more than 5 times, and I still got 100% on my participation score because I knew him, he knew me. I would go in for help, and I would at least try. I think when they see you trying, it can go such a long way, and that really helped me to excel in my classes and really excel at exams that were really hard for me, essays that were really hard. And I would even be really straight up with professors like, hey, the way that you wrote this was really, really confusing, and maybe that won't change all the time, but at least it practices how you can speak to professionals in the real world, and you can really train yourself to ask those questions, because that's what they're there for. They're paid to help you. Number 4, show up to the involvement fairs. Okay, this might be the tour guide in me speaking, because I used to be a tour guide for San Diego State, but what I loved about sharing all of the things that you can be involved in is it's easy. You know, people make it super simple for you. Sometimes you can just show up to the meetings and that makes you an automatic member. If you want to join an academic related organization, sometimes you might have to pay, or there might be a cutoff. So it might be harder, especially for sororities and fraternities, because you have to rush and all those things. And I didn't do Greek life. Let me also just preface that. But when I went to the involvement fairs, it makes me understand there's so much potential when you're there. You realize there's cultural organizations, academic related, hobby related. There literally used to be like a lettuce club at San Diego State. People just create like the most random things. I got involved in club soccer and the Pacific Islander organization because I went to these involvement fairs and I was like, what the heck? I didn't know you could play soccer but not be in D1. So there's just so many things out there for you to try, and the point of those fairs is for you to just like get out there and look. You don't even have to talk to anybody. Just walk through the rows of organizations, and I feel like it might be different for every college, but that's pretty much what I feel like most colleges follow, is like an involvement fair, some form of being able to meet people in person. And that's also really great because, hey, if you have to apply for something, or it might be like a application process, then you will have to meet the people in charge. So it's really important to kind of make yourself known to them. There's also really cool ones volunteer-wise. I was supposed to go to Tijuana to build homes, and that was when COVID hit. But there's amazing organizations you can be a part of at your school, and truly the sky's the limit. You can even create one yourself if you don't see something you like. So I highly recommend just going. That's the point of these fairs, is for you to, get a hold of that and a grasp of that. That's the same thing that goes for internship and career fairs. I didn't go to a lot of the career fairs because I knew I didn't want to stay in San Diego. But if you are in a really aggressive, rigorous major like accounting or anything health related, you'll want to go to these career and internship fairs. It's really important for you, again, to make your name established in that city wherever you're located so that you can help the community and get a job or get some form of volunteer experience so that it can excel you in your career. Number 5, something that hit me when I was a freshman was how much time I had after classes, eating lunch, whatever. I was like, wait, so what else do I do? Granted, yes, you should be studying, but there's also times where you're like, hey, I still want to like have a social life, and you should have a social life. So I realized how much time I had, and I was like, wow, this is just crazy. Because in high school, you go from class, or you go from school straight to sports, or you are whatever, hanging out with friends. I would be at my Nana and Papa's house. Like, it was just such a routine for myself. And then once I got to college, I was like, oh, this is a brand new routine. Like, what do I do with my time? I really encourage you to focus on what you need right now. So whether it's you're a freshman, you have not a lot of friends, and you're like, I really want a friend group, then prioritize socializing and what that looks like for you. If you're like, well, I actually like kind of need to work on myself, I just want to be more independent, then be independent. Like, those extra pockets of time are super crucial to benefiting you and what you want. And I think, whether it's getting a job or not getting a job or whatever that looks like to you, just really use those time frames to your benefit. I knew a couple people in college who were like, oh, I just wish I did that sooner. And that's where it's like, okay, if you have that time, embrace it. Freshman year is probably the easiest year you will have. Like for me in the business majors, it really kicked up junior year. So having my freshman, sophomore year to establish what organizations I love, maybe a job that I wanted, whatever, that was crucial to get me a lot more comfortable. So school was more rigorous, but I still enjoyed myself. I still had that foundation so that although things got harder, I still had that social and mental support wherever I needed it so that it could kind of match and even out my sanity. Lastly, okay, controversial. Don't focus on dating. I went into college. I say this is controversial because a lot of people will want to stay with their boyfriends and stuff. Like, I don't judge that, whatever. They'll stay with their high school relationships. But I just encourage you, for the most part of college, if you can or if you feel encouraged to, be single, because I think that being single really was a huge mark on why I enjoyed college so much. I didn't have to worry about a guy. I didn't have to worry about dating. I barely made any money. How was I supposed to afford a relationship anyway? So I just think, for me personally, now looking back, I'm so glad I wasn't dating anybody because I could do whatever I wanted with my friends. I didn't really have to, worry about that too much. I did meet Ethan start of my junior year, but because of COVID, we were in person. So I feel like that's a little different. But when I was in college, it was just such a fun time to be with my friends, to just kind of like goof around, not really have places to be. We would just vibed. And like, that was one of the best eras of that, because making those friendships and relationships and just knowing like I had my friends and we were just being ourselves and just having a good old time and struggling through school together and doing all the things, that was so much more enjoyable to me because I had that group of girls who really supported me throughout college. And then that kind of just got me more ready to be in a relationship later on. So I think that was just a really big thing that really helped my college experience just be what it was. And I was just having such a good old time. So that was all the 6 that I had. I wanted this to be pretty rapid fire because I want this to be just as quick and easy to digest as possible for me. If you guys are, just kind of starting out, I just like really seriously want to encourage you guys to just really give all these things a chance. Give this new experience a chance. And yeah, I don't know exactly like what all of you guys are going through, but I know that you guys are in your spots for a reason. You got in this school for a reason. You moved away from home. You stayed home for a reason, whatever that may look like. It's all going to be, worth it in the end. And if you just kind of stick it out and just try your best, seriously, that'll go such a long and far way. When you give up on yourself too soon, it really just doesn't give you that toolbox that you need in the future to try new things, go out there and just go after whatever you're wanting to do. So yeah, maybe you're worried about your major and you don't know what the heck you're going to do with it, but it's all for a reason. You also have time. If you're in your freshman and sophomore year, unless you're like a healthcare related field, you seriously have time, or engineering, or all those like really rigorous paths. You really have time to kind of figure that out and what that looks like for you. Career wise, let's also kind of like touch on that real quick. Career wise, if you're worried about what major you are looking for, there's counselors for that. You can talk to people, you can take assessments. I just really encourage you guys to also talk with people in the profession. When it was COVID, I interviewed a professional in finance, and she shared with me her experience and what her day-to-day looks like. And that's where I knew I didn't want to go into finance. But it's really important for you to kind of educate yourself on what you're majoring in and how that's going to really benefit your future if you even really want to do it. So there's so many things that you can do to kind of start off, but these are just the 6 that I think you can really focus on and just try. I get really passionate about this because I just know college is not for everybody, and it's a privilege to go. So I just really encourage you to take this opportunity, grab it, just make it your serious. Like, this is why you're there. So just enjoy it. And if you guys want any more encouragement, you can follow my other page. It's Create with Camille on Instagram. And I hope you guys just have the best school year yet. Just go out there, try new things, go to the football games, do all the things, and just put yourself out there and meet people who just really make you happy and who help you out. And that's really all you need. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please subscribe. And I hope to chat with you guys another time.